Hello everyone. For this video, I'll be showing you how to set up a WoW private server for the Steam Deck. It works for any private server such as Vanilla, TPC, and RAF, but for this video, we will be setting up Turtle WoW. So obviously, first up, turn on your Steam Deck, and then also we'll be opening up desktop mode. So to get to desktop mode, you press on the Steam button, power, and then switch to desktop. And then when it boots up to desktop mode, sometimes you may notice that it takes a while for the trackpad to work, because when you go into desktop mode, it actually opens up Steam again. So give it a moment. There we go. Now open up your favorite browser. And when you have that browser pulled up, go ahead and enter in the page of your private server. In this case, I'll be going to Turtle WoW. To actually pull up your keyboard, you want to select the search bar, and then you can do Steam key and X button. And so pull it up. And then to type, you just mouse over the area, pressing the pad. Select enter, and then just pull up the page, and then download the zip. And then when you download your server, in most cases it will give you a zip file. You can go ahead and just find it, click on it, and then extract it to whatever you want. Now actually, instead of extracting this to your micro SD card, I heavily recommend you extract it to your home folder. And the reason being is because whenever you use add-ons, I'm not exactly sure what is causing this or what's happening, but there's some kind of permissions or folder access that the add-ons are trying to access to the folder, and it's not able to pull up in WoW. So whenever I install this on my SD card, I didn't see any add-ons at all, but when I put it onto my home folder, it works just fine. Anyone who's more tech savvy than me, please put in the comments down below exactly why, and if there's any workarounds, I would greatly appreciate if you tell me that. So anyways, I have extracted in my folder, and then Turtle client, and then obviously here is my wow.exe. Keep in mind the location of where this is extracted. I want you now to go to your Steam. Your Steam will be down here in the taskbar. Just click on that. Click on library. And then you want to add a non-Steam game. So just click on add a game. Add a non-Steam game. And you want to browse for it. Go to your home deck folder. And then, in this case, it's Turtle client. And then you want to click on this file type and do all files. Scroll down and select wow.exe. Now I already have this added into my Steam, but it will look kind of similar to this menu beforehand, and it will show a check mark. And if it's checkmarked next to wow.exe, you just click on Add Selected Programs. And then, once it's added, you want to go to that wow.exe, right-click it, Properties, and then you can just rename it to whatever you want. And then go to Compatibility, and then checkmark Force the use of a specific Steam Play compatibility tool. And then once it's check marked, you want to choose your Proton version. Now, I tried the majority of these. Pretty much all of them work. Just choose whatever is newest. And then you just click OK, and then exit out. And then when you click on Turtle WoW and play, it should just boot up. Now, we are in desktop mode at the moment, so it may look a little bit weird. Some of your controls may not work. that's okay. On desktop mode, it's just you want to actually go to gaming mode and then open up TurtleWow. But for demonstration purposes, I just want to show you that it pretty much work out of the box without any major setup, aside from the UI and mods, I guess add-ons, which I will show you how to do soon. If your game doesn't open, or if it crashes upon startup, there are two folders you need to delete to make it work, and they are the WDB and the WTF folder. These are your cache files. For myself personally, my WoW had a really weird memory error, so as soon as I deleted these two folders and relaunched WoW, it worked right away. To set up add-ons, it's pretty much almost the same as Windows, but I kind of want to show you just in case if you're new to WoW or WoW add-ons. So for TurtleWow, there's a very good form up here. It's called GitHub List of Vanilla Willowcraft Add-ons 1.12.1. For TurtleWow, I know it says 1.16 when you open up the game, but it is based on 1.12.1, so all of those add-ons will work for TurtleWow, and it's very important that you get the correct version. I know WoW, they have WoW Classic and then WoW Vanilla, which seems like the same game, except WoW Classic is the official Blizzard version with a different sort of engine, as far as I understand. So once you download the add-on, in this case this is PFUI, you kind of want to make a few notes real quick. So it will be in your downloads folder, and open this up. Now notice here it says PFUI master. When you extract this will extract the whole folder, PFUI master. And if you actually scroll down, there should be a .toc file. Here we go. This one has two, pfui.toc, pfui.tbc.toc. In this case, we're using vanilla WoW, so it was going to be the pfui. And whenever you have a folder for WoW add-ons, you actually want to match the toc file. So notice back how I said this says PFUI master. You want to get rid of the master part and match exactly what the toc file says. So if I go to my home folder, it's actually add-ons are under interface and add-ons. And then here you see PFUI, and all those folder files are extracted there. Alright, so once you confirmed all of your add-ons, I think you're good to go to gaming mode and load up your private server. But I do want to show you one thing before I do that. I don't know if you noticed at the beginning of the video, you saw how TurtleWow had a custom icon and art. If you want to go to your Steam library, if you click on this library, in this case I had it open here already. And when you go to your WoW.exe, it actually would be in a gray box on the right side. Like here it says XIV launcher. It'll be WoW.exe, and you would want to right click it. And then you want to do manage. And then here, because I have artwork, it would say clear custom artwork, but here it would say set custom artwork. And so I'll do for this. So if you click on that, it actually would ask you where the picture is located. And you can download any picture off the internet. I don't really know the exact resolution or size and ratio, but the one that found the official page worked fine. And then once you select that picture, you can choose your, actually it may not even show you a picture, you might have to do all files, choose your picture, and then hit open. And when you do that, it will just load the art, and that's pretty much it. So let's go back to gaming mode. And once we're in there, I'm going to show you how my layout and add-ons are configured. Okay, here's my game. Now first off, before you launch your game, you can configure the controls a little bit. If you've seen the red little control icon, And a good starting point is if you go up to your current layout, go to templates. I recommend you start off with keyboard, WASD, and mouse. Once you have that selected, just go back and then open up your game. That layout is to get you started with just controlling the cameras and do the rest later. Now to enter in your password, it's the exact same thing as desktop mode. Just press Steam and X and just go ahead and enter in your password. Okay. Once you're in, you should see this little button here. It says add-ons. Open that up. And then usually it tells if an add-on's out of date. Sometimes it may say it's out of date and it will still work. You just check mark load out of date add-ons, and if the game crashes, you know where to go back and turn it off. And then over here, you see it says script memory in megabytes. Set that to 0. This guarantees that your add-on will not load out of RAM and will not crash on you. Once you're done, click on OK and load your character. The most important thing you want to set up is your right joystick. What I have here is on my right joystick is that whenever I tap this, it holds on the right click, and then I just move it, and it moves the mouse in a direction. I don't even have to click this in, I just tap it. I just like put my finger on it, and it recognizes that it's being touched. So when it recognizes it's being touched, it holds down the right click. So what I did for that is, if you click on the Steam button here, and you press right, controller settings, you can customize your buttons. So if I go to edit layout, joysticks, and then my right joystick behavior is joystick mouse. And whenever it says touch, it says right mouse click. So by default, it will just say add command. You can just select it, and then I just go to right mouse click. And that's pretty much it. I don't have any of this other stuff turned on. I leave this on the default. And then I change my mouse sensitivity. So if I go to joystick mouse, and if you press right, you can see that little cogwheel. Select it. I put them down to 75. You can change this to any way you want this to be. You can even turn on gyros of it. I think to change gyros, you can go back to this other screen, and then you go to gyro behavior, and then you can use like a mouse to control that. But I don't like using that because sometimes, you know, I'm like in the game moving my Steam Deck, and it was just, especially in a very target-heavy game and click-heavy game, you don't want to have minute actions throw off whatever you have selected. Now, for my other keys, what I did is I have my ABXY, and I had my A button to be the space bar, so it will jump for me. My B is my attack, and then my X is my assist target, which selects target to target, and then my Y is my map. And if you notice these blue ones here, and if it says where it says double press, so for example, my B, if I press it twice, it actually does shift and T key, which is actually having your pet attack my target. So I can attack. If my hunter, I can double click it and have my pet attack. To set that up, I go to my B key, and then I go to the little cogwheel icon. I press A, and I add an extra command. And what extra commands are just secondary functions for that button. So by default you only see one B key, but if you have extra command, it'll be a second B key. And I can go in here and I can change from like double press to long press, button chords, even down to like having it where the B key becomes a different button depending on how many times you press it, like a sequence menu. So I'm just gonna do double press. And then what I did was I assigned it to the shift key, and then I went back to that B key, I click on the cogwheel and do sub command. And what a sub command is a key being pressed at the exact same time. So I added the sub command, added a T, and now when I double click on B, it does shift and T at the exact same time. My X, shift F1, that's my pet. So I can double click that, and that selects my pet. My Y, double click is hide the UI, so that's Alt Z. But that's all optional. So what makes this game work for the Steam Deck is something called action set layers. And what these are a set of commands that you can use when you hold on a trigger or a specific set of buttons. So for example, in my triggers, if you see my L2, this pulls up my left back action set layer. And the reason why I call it left back is because on my interface, left side of my screen on the top, or I guess back side, is my 1, 2, 3, 4 commands. So for example, if I press R1 and go to left back and go to buttons, you can see that my X key is 1, my A key is 2, my B key is 3, and Y key is 4. And if I double press X, it's shift 1, double press A is shift 2, and whatnot. And so I can have as many layer sets as I want. I can assign to any buttons or combination of buttons. In my case, I just have left front, left back, right back, and I have 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I also have my control 6, 7, 8, 9, and my alt and whatever modifier keys you want, and you can assign those keybinds to whatever bars you have set up. Now, to make action sets, if you go down here, if you look at default and you see the little cogwheel icon, you can click on that, and then you just add a layer to it. Now, the reason why I want to add a layer instead of a whole new action set is because layers inherit all the commands that are in the default keybinds, right? So that way I can be holding in my triggers while moving my character at the exact same time. But if I want to, maybe press one of my back pedals and have an entirely different set of commands, then that's when you would do an action set instead of a layer. But in this case, or at least in my case, and most recommendations, I recommend just do layers and go at it. For the rest of my controls, I set my D-pad to be my main targeting system I have going on here. So for example, my right button on the D-pad is my tab key, and my left button is my shift tab, which is the previous target. So I can cycle through a list of enemies. And then my up and down key are my friendlies, and I can cycle through them as well. My double press is my F2 to F5 keys, so that's my friendlies. I can target and heal them. And then I set click my left joystick to be myself as well. And I also set up the V key to be my long press for my joystick. And I set my right joystick to be auto run, and then long press is to be enter key to chat to friendlies. Speaking of chatting, I also set up my select key to be my keyboard, so instead of having to press Steam X every single time, I just set up my select button to show my keyboard, and then my start key to be my escape key, which will let me get out of menus pretty easily. I also set up my right trackpad to be my mouse. You can select that, select your mouse, and then I can just go to the cogwheel and adjust the sensitivity. I like to keep most of these to the default. I like the trackball mode where I can just flick it really fast. I can flick my mouse to another side of the menu. And there's also trackball friction. Now what trackball friction is the amount of resistance you get for flicking. So if you have low friction, it flicks really far. If you have high friction, it takes a little bit more effort to flick it. My right trackpad click is my right mouse click, and my left trackpad is actually my radio menu. The radio menu is really cool because you rest your left thumb on your trackpad, it pulls up a menu, and let me show you how that looks like. So this comes up, and I even have custom icons set up for this too. And I have my bags, my character, my spell book, and whatnot. I can just click it in, and it pulls that up, and there's my bags. And I can just drag and drop these items to anywhere I want in the bar. Now, what I did is actually I set my L3 back here to be my left click, and then this one here to be my shift click as well. So if I'm looting a body, all I gotta do is shift and right click of my right trackpad. So for the radio menu, see how I have my bags and B key over here? I can rename this to whatever I want, and that name will appear on my radio menu. Now to give it custom icons, you actually need to open up this game on Steam desktop mode and open up big picture mode. I don't know if Valve is working on this or if they're going to add this eventually, but the icons is not a feature provided by Steam Deck by default. You have to go in big picture mode. Here are my back buttons. As I said, I have my left click and my shift key. I also have my scroll wheel up and scroll wheel down, which helps me zoom in and out of the camera. For my scroll wheel up and down, I enable something called Turbo, which allows me to hold on the button to zoom in and out. If you go into the cogwheel icon, go to settings, just turn it on and leave it on to 100. Now my layout's already configured, but before I want to go over the layout, if you're using an add-on like PFUI, you may get the first time prompter set up. Just go ahead and just follow the wizard just to dismiss the menus. As far as UI is involved, I have each action bar to be a total of 8 keys, and then I just do 1 to 4 and then my modifier key 1 to 4. To set up keybinds, press your escape key, go to PFUI config, and go over to hover bind. You can then go ahead and mouse over the area you wish to bind. So for example, here I'm going to set this to 4. Now, for modifier keys, like for example shift 4, sometimes I've noticed that if I do the double tap press for shift 4, it may not actually show the shift key. Here in my case it is, but it may not actually show it on the bar itself. To fix that, you actually have to go over to your keybinds on the WoW settings. So you press start, keybindings, and then you actually have to go down. You would scroll down to the key that you try to bind as shift 4, and then go ahead and set up as a proper key. I've noticed that the key binding settings in the WoW menu actually register better than hover bind. I'm not sure there's an issue or a glitch of PFUI that prevents you from binding it properly. To change your action bar UI, go ahead and just press escape, PFUI config, and then just go to action bar. And then what I did for mine is that I set the amount of buttons to be 8, and I did a 4x2. I did it for all my bars, and then if I press on escape, PFUI config, and unlock, I moved it down here in a column. So I have my left bars and my right bars. You can go ahead and resize the bars using the mouse wheels and just make it as big as small depending on what you want it as. Another thing I like to have is to have my target to be at the top side of my screen. So if I go ahead and select this grizzled bear here, you can see it right there. And you can see his cast bar below it. To go ahead and change that, you just press the escape, PFEI config, unlock, and you can literally just drag the target frame up there on top and scale it as big or as small as you want. And then there's also the target cast bar below it. And then my buff frame is aligned to the right at the top side here. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Comment in the description. I'd be happy to get with you. Thanks.